Hi guys, this is the elementary videos for September 2nd and 3rd, and I'm so excited to be here with you guys all month. Our big lesson for the month is that God dwells with us, and so we'll be talking each week in different capacities about that very fact. And so the big hope, the big prayer is that the kids walk away with this big understanding that because of Jesus, we are God's dwelling place. So I just want to break apart the month for you so you can kind of see the big picture of where we're going. The first and second week are kind of just really big overviews, like summaries of Genesis and Exodus. So you're not going to be really dwelling very long on any one particular concept because we're going to kind of move pretty quickly through a bunch of concepts. So the first week you're going to be going from creation to Abraham and Isaac in Genesis, and then the second week you'll be talking about the life of Moses. The third week we're going to be doing the tabernacle, which I'm very excited about because we've never taught that here, and we're going to actually be doing a gospel lesson with the tabernacle so that we can show kids that the tabernacle was God's dwelling place, and now because of Jesus, we are his dwelling place. And then the fourth week, we're going to be working out of Deuteronomy and talking about the laws to follow because we are his children. So we'll start with this week. I guess the first thing I just want to mention for all of these weeks is that, well, specifically the first 2 weeks, you will have children in your class who know these stories because they've learned them for years in preschool, or they've learned them in years in elementary, or they've learned them for years at home. And so, we want to be careful not to lose their attention. And so there's quite a few questions in there that within the teaching that draw those students who know the story in. And so I just encourage you to just be thinking about those students and be prayerful about the students who know this story. But I also just want to point out that while we may, my assumption is that all these kids know it, but really in reality, many of these kids actually don't know these stories. And so there's lots of questions for the littler ones and the ones who aren't quite as mature in their faith to help engage them in the story lesson too. So this month we're going to be doing a lot of visuals, and the idea is that it's a good bridge for the littles and the bigs to go. So you're going to have a lot of whiteboard work this week and next week and the following week. So you're going to have a bunch of these little pictures that have magnets on them, and they'll just place right along your whiteboard. So the idea for week 1 and week 2 is that you draw a big line, a timeline essentially, across your whiteboard, and then you'll lay these pictures as you tell the story, so that hopefully will keep the little ones engaged in the thing. And then for the big ones, or the kids who really know this story, there's lots of things you can do, like leading questions. So for example, if we can I'll just transition straight into the talk about the lesson. So the lesson, you start with creation, and essentially you are going to be talking about the 7 days of creation. You'll talk about Adam and Eve, the fall of Adam and Eve. Then you'll talk about the generations of Adam and Eve till we get to Abraham. And then you'll talk about Abraham's sacrifice through Isaac, and how God provided the perfect lamb, and how that's a foreshadow to Jesus, that the Israelites had to do so many different things to atone for their sins. Obviously, you won't use that word atone, but to take the punishments for their sins. But when Jesus came and took the punishment on himself, he became the perfect lamb. And so that's kind of where we get to at the end of this lesson. So I know you will be able to read the text, but I just wanted to show you the visuals. So one of the things you can do is, we start with, in the beginning, God made, and then you might say, what was the first thing that God made? And that allows some of your children in class who already know it to engage, and they could say, there was lights, right? And then you can kind of do those things, periodically throughout the lesson. He made light first, then he made the expanses of the heavens, and then he made the earth and the landforms, and the 2 lights to rule day and night, and the stars in the sky, and the fish of the sea, and the birds of the air, and the creatures of the land. And who else did God make? God made us, Adam and Eve. And what happened, right? So you can kind of, the idea is that you're kind of going through an overview of the class with these pictures, and hopefully you can engage your students that already know it to help, tell portions of the story in a constructive sort of way. So anyways, so that is your lesson for this week. You also have the memory verse. That's the first activity you'll do. It's John 1:3. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. So I've written out a full, explanation on how to how to explain this to the children, and how to play the game. And so I really encourage you to do that because it helps them get into the frame of mind of creation, and it's really a good opportunity for them to be really interactive, so that when they get into story time, they've already got those kind of wiggles out. And then the last activity of the day is a game. So you have, we're going to do the Zap game again, and you have like 16 or 20 questions to separate the kids into two groups, and then you ask the questions, and they get to draw a card from the Zap board. So, and the questions are a really good way to encourage them to really remember the story. They may have heard the story many times before, but they may forget some of the details. And the important part actually is that we're teaching them through this lesson of creation and sacrifice about Jesus. That's the whole point, right? So that is your first week. I'm super excited for this month, and if you have any questions, absolutely feel free to contact me at any time, or you can contact Lisa, Denise, or Marka, and they'd be super happy to help you too. Thank you, guys.